The hot Texas sun beat down mercilessly that afternoon, glinting off the dusty wooden pews set out in the open field. A soft wind fluttered the white fabric draped over the altar, and the townspeople sat waiting in silence. Every eye was on her, Clara May Whitlock. Her hands trembled slightly as she adjusted the skirt of her emerald green gown, the one her mother had sewn by hand. She had dreamed of this day since she was a little girl, of walking down the aisle, of hearing her name spoken with love, not pity. But as she stood there, beneath that wooden arch, surrounded by whispers that stung worse than the sun, she had no idea that this moment, her wedding day, would break her heart before it would ever heal it. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of true love, then please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner, where stories remind us that goodness still exists in this world. Clara had always been the quiet one in town, the girl who smiled at everyone though few smiled back. She was gentle, hardworking, and loyal to a fault. Her size had made her the target of cruel jokes since childhood, but she carried her pain quietly, the way kind people often do. When Thomas Brigman, the son of the wealthiest rancher in 3 counties, asked her to marry him, it felt like something out of a dream. Her father had passed, and her mother's health was failing, yet for the first time, hope had walked through her front door. She thought maybe she had been wrong all those years, maybe love truly could look beyond appearances. But dreams have a cruel way of shattering. As she stood there before the preacher, veil trembling in her hands, Thomas suddenly took a step back. His face was pale, his jaw tight. The crowd's murmur swelled into confusion, then shock. He turned toward them, his voice breaking but loud enough for everyone to hear. "I can't do this. I can't marry her." A gasp rippled through the crowd, and Clara felt her knees weaken. For a long second, no one moved. No one spoke. The men she had trusted, the one she had believed in, turned and walked away, leaving her standing alone, the laughter and whispers behind her cutting like blades. Her mother sobbed quietly in the front row. The preacher bowed his head. Clara wanted to run, to disappear into the dust. She could feel eyes burning into her, could hear cruel voices in her head saying, "Who would want a woman like you?" The world blurred around her as tears fell silently onto her gown. And then, the sound of boots on dirt broke through the hush. Slow, steady, deliberate steps. From the back of the crowd, a man walked forward, tall, broad-shouldered, with a weathered hat that cast a shadow over eyes that held something rare, compassion. It was Jesse Calder, a cowboy most of the town barely knew. He had arrived months earlier, working quietly at the Miller Ranch, never causing trouble, always keeping to himself. The people called him the Drifter, a man with a past. But that day, as he stopped beside Clara and looked at her, not through her, not around her, but right into her trembling heart, everything in that dusty world seemed to still. He didn't say a word at first. He simply reached up, removed his hat, and faced the preacher. "If the lady's still willing," he said calmly, his voice deep and unwavering, "I'll marry her." The crowd erupted, some in laughter, others in disbelief. But Jesse didn't waver. His eyes never left hers. For the first time, Clara didn't see pity or mockery, she saw respect. She saw someone who saw her. The preacher hesitated, unsure of what to do. But Clara, through tears, nodded slowly. Her voice trembled, but there was courage in it. "Yes. I am willing." And so, under that same sky that had just witnessed her heartbreak, Clara May became a wife, not to the men who abandoned her, but to a stranger who saw beauty where others only saw size. The ceremony was short and quiet. Some guests walked away in disgust, others stayed, watching in awe. When Jessie slipped the simple silver band onto her finger, Clara felt something shift inside her. It wasn't the fairy tale she had imagined, but it was real, and sometimes, real love doesn't arrive wrapped in perfection. It arrives in dusty boots and calloused hands, with the courage to stand up when others turn away. After the wedding, Jesse took Clara's hand and led her to his small cabin on the edge of town. Life there was humble, but peaceful. He treated her with kindness, never once mentioning the gossip that still whispered in saloons and markets. Clara worked beside him, cooking, planting, laughing again. Slowly, she found her spirit returning. The town, too, began to change. People who had mocked her started to soften. They saw how happy she was, how Jesse looked at her with the kind of love no money could buy. Even Thomas, the groom who left her at the altar, returned one day, humbled and broken after losing everything in a business deal gone wrong. When he saw Clara smiling, truly smiling, he realized what he had thrown away, not a woman, but a heart bigger than his own pride. Years passed, and their story became something of a legend. Children in the town grew up hearing about the bride who was left but still found love. Clara and Jesse never flaunted their happiness, they lived simply, loving deeply, and always helping others. When Clara opened a small bakery in town, she named it Second Chances. Every loaf she baked carried the warmth of the kindness that once saved her. Every child who came for cookies left with more than sweetness, they left with a story that reminded them to look beyond appearances. As the sun set over the plains one evening, Clara sat on the porch beside Jesse. The years had added lines to their faces, but their hands still found each other with ease. She turned to him and whispered, "You gave me a life when all I had left was shame." He smiled and said softly, "No, Clara. You gave me one." If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner, because somewhere out there, someone needs to believe that love still exists for those who've been judged, hurt, or left behind. Special request, before you leave, comment below, what does true love mean to you? As the stars rose above the quiet Texas night, Clara closed her eyes and felt peace. Her life had begun with laughter behind her back, but it ended with love beside her heart. Sometimes, the ones who walk away show us nothing, but the ones who step forward remind us what love is truly made of: courage, kindness, and seeing someone's soul when the world refuses to.